Manhattan terror attack, 8 people dead, 11 injured after ute drives into crowd. A man in a rented ute has driven onto a busy bicycle path near the World Trade Center Memorial in New York City, killing 8 people and injuring 11 others in what the mayor called a particularly cowardly act of terror. The 29-year-old driver was shot in the abdomen by police and taken into custody after jumping out of the truck with what turned out to be a paintball gun and a pellet gun and shouting Allahu Akbar, officials said. The suspect, who has been identified in U.S. media reports as Sayfullo Saipov, an immigrant from Uzbekistan, was taken to a local hospital but his condition was not immediately released. New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill was asked at a news conference whether the suspect shouted the phrase, which means God is great in Arabic, or something like it. Commissioner O'Neill replied, "Yeah. He did make a statement when he exited the vehicle, though he declined to elaborate." Police said they were not releasing the man's identity at this time, pending further investigation, but have said the method of attack and the suspect's statement enabled officials to label this a terrorist event. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said the incident in Lower Manhattan was a painful day in our city. "Let me be clear, based on the information we have at this moment, this was an act of terror and a particularly cowardly act of terror, aimed at innocent civilians, aimed at people going about their lives who had no idea what was about to hit them," he told a media conference. "We know that this action was intended to break our spirit, but we also know New Yorkers are strong, New Yorkers are resilient, and our spirit will never be moved by an act of violence and an act meant to intimidate us." Witnesses described a scene of panic and blood, with people screaming in fear and the path strewn with mangled bicycles and bodies that were soon covered over with tarps. Authorities said none of those injured in the assault have life-threatening injuries. United States President Donald Trump tweeted, "In NYC, looks like another attack by a very sick and deranged person. Law enforcement is following this closely. Not in the U.S. My thoughts, condolences and prayers to the victims and families of the New York City terrorist attack. God and your country are with you," he said in another tweet. Acting Prime Minister Julie Bishop said Australia's Consul General in New York, Alistair Walton, was in the vicinity of the attack and all embassy and consulate staff have been accounted for. "The State Department has informed us that at this stage they do not believe any Australians are affected, but the situation is still unfolding," she said. Police said the vehicle, a rented Home Depot truck, entered the bike path on West Street a few blocks from the World Trade Center Memorial and struck at least 15 people, leaving mangled bicycles behind. At least 2 bodies could be seen lying on the path beneath tarps. A man who was riding in an Uber along the West Side Highway near Chambers Street said he saw several bleeding people on the ground after the truck struck several people. Police confirmed the truck collided with a school bus on Chambers Street, injuring 2 adults and 2 children. At least 2 bodies could be seen lying on the path beneath tarps. A man who was riding in an Uber along the West Side Highway near Chambers Street said he saw several bleeding people on the ground after the truck struck several people. Police confirmed the truck collided with a school bus on Chambers Street, injuring 2 adults and 2 children. The attack closed roads across the western edge of Manhattan along the Hudson River and sent uniformed officers rushing to the neighborhood as people prepared for Halloween festivities, including an annual parade through Greenwich Village. Authorities said there would be an increased police presence ahead of the city's Halloween parade later on Tuesday, however there are no fears of an additional attack. Eugene Duffy, 43, a chef at a waterfront restaurant, said he was crossing West Street when he heard something, turned back and saw the white ute on the bike path. After seeing the mangled bikes, he ran south, seeing the school bus that appeared to have been T-boned, and officers at the scene, guns drawn, ducked behind patrol cars. So many police came and they didn't know what was happening, Mr. Duffy said. People were screaming. Females were screaming at the top of their lungs. Uber driver Chen Yi said he saw a truck plow into people on a popular bike path adjacent to the West Side Highway. He said he then heard 7 to 8 shots and then police pointing a gun at a man kneeling on the pavement. I saw a lot of blood over there. A lot of people on the ground, Mr. Yi said. His passenger, Dmitry Metlitsky, said he also saw police standing near a man who was on his knees with his hands up, and another man bleeding on the ground nearby. He said the truck had also collided with a small school bus and one other vehicle.